Bridgerton season 4. This season, the subjects of our romance are Benedict, the second oldest brother, and Sophie, who is a character who's heavily implied to be like the legitimate child of her father. And after her father died, she's being raised essentially by her evil stepmother. It's essentially a Cinderella story. At a masquerade ball, Sophie goes in disguise and she meets Benedict, which up to this point has always been the rake, the black sheep of the family, always up to all sorts of things, wearing his clothes in flamboyant ways. He's bisexual, he's an artist, he's out here on streets, all of that. And he's never interested in settling down despite his mother's attempts. And then he sees Sophie in disguise and he becomes infatuated with her. He keeps trying to find her. At the same time, Sophie's real life identity as a maid, she comes across him and he quote unquote saves her from her situation after she's kicked out of the house. And he gets her a job in Bridgerton house, and he's falling in love with her. They're infatuated, they're getting sexy schmexy. She's getting jealous of him, courting other people. Meanwhile, he's still looking for the mysterious woman that he saw because he's a bit dim, so he hasn't clocked that the woman that he's looking at every day is the same woman he was looking at the ball. People say it's like a Clark Kent Superman thing, and I'm like, girl, I guess. When he was searching for the real life woman, he was going to white women and black women to try and determine if they were
Oh
her.
my God.
Meanwhile, Sophie is played by Korean actress Yerin Ha. The suspension of disbelief with the race blindness is a bit silly at this point. Anyway, so Netflix has split the season in two, so we've only watched the first half of the season, and the first half ends with a scene everybody has been buzzing about where after she basically kicks him out of his house because she can't stand to keep seeing him courting other women, and they will never be able to be together because she's a maid and he's a Bridgerton, he's a lord or whatever. He comes rushing back because he can't bear to be away from her, and they have like a very sexual scene on the staircase, and he breathlessly asks her to be his mistress. And that's how the house is. And everybody has been melting down about it because they're like, what kind of love story is this? Bridgerton has always been a show about class, but like in a very silly,
Yeah.
silly, I don't even know what's called, a CW style way. This is a show that last season, in the middle of like a sex scene between Penelope and Colin, they were playing a violin version of Give Me Everything Tonight by Pitbull and Leo. So this is not a serious show when it comes to anything. But this season, I have found that Yerin Ha's performance is actually such a serious performance. Like, she's taking her storyline quite seriously, that the commentary they're making on class for the Bridgertons is actually a bit more profound because she's doing it really well. Benedict and Luke Newton that plays him, that one is just having his fun, silly time. And their chemistry is okay. It's not as good as the chemistry from season 2. It's okay. But I'm still enjoying it a lot because I really like Yerin Ha's performance and I like their little silly Cinderella story. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle it in the second half of the season.
So I've been seeing a lot of dialogue online about a sapphic storyline. What's going on that front?
Okay, so great question. So last season they introduced a man called John Sterling, Earl of Kilmartin. He's played by Victor Ali, very, very, very gorgeous man. And so one of their sisters, Francesca, she is shown to be a bit on the spectrum, and she's not like as showy as the rest of her siblings. And she meets John, and John is also a bit awkward and shy and maybe also on the spectrum, and they really just get along, and they decide they just want to have their own quiet, quaint little marriage. They don't make a spectacle of it, and they just go off into their home. But then after you meet them and you have their cute little love story, one of the last things you see of them in the last season is that he just introduces his cousin that's around, and he introduces her, and she's played by Masali Baduza, who is a South African actress, gorgeous woman. And suddenly Francesca becomes like tongue-tied, she can't speak, and she's just like stumbling over her words. And it becomes apparent that, okay, maybe it wasn't just that her character, she's just like not super showy with her emotions with him, but that she just doesn't like men in that way, or her true love is a woman. In the book, spoilers, that character, his name is Michael, and he is the cousin or brother of John. And big spoilers for an upcoming storyline. When John dies, ultimately Francesca and Michael stir up a romance, and that ultimately is where you see her true sweeping love, even though they have to go through the guilt over doing this after her husband had died, which she did love. It's not like she had a bad relationship with John. So in the show, they have gender swapped Michael to Michaela. And there's a lot of discourse about that. It is notable that I think season 6 probably is going to be their season, because I think next season is going to be Eloise's season. So season 6 is going to be Francesca and Michaela's season. What is notable about that is that would make it the first season of Bridgerton where one of the leads is a black woman. Because so far it's been season 1 a mixed race black man and a white woman, season 2 a dark skinned South Asian woman and a white man, season 3 2 white people, season 4 a white man and a East Asian woman, season 5 is likely going to be 2 white people, and then season 6 will be potentially a white woman and a black woman. So I think there's some conversation some people are having about what does it mean that the first time you've made a black woman the lead is when you're dealing with a character that in the text is a masculine character.
There we go again. Yep.
There's a lot of discourse around it, so we're going to see how they handle it. I also think, like, I've seen a lot of people, there's also a lot of debate on sapphic relationships and identity in general, because in the books, Francesca does love John, and then after he passes away, she and Michael start their love story. In the show, depending on how you read how they've presented it so far, Francesca, you can read it, is not actually sexually attracted to John, and she only likes Michaela. But some other people don't read it that way, and in which case they feel like the show is presenting her as a lesbian. But other people read it as, no, she is into John, but the love of her life just happens to be Michaela, in which case she's a bisexual character. And there's a lot of tussling going on because the whole concept of bi erasure versus lesbian identity is a whole thing. So yeah, that's all the tussling you would have been seeing on the TL. Personally, for me, I like Masali a lot, just like as an actress. So I'm just happy to see her on the show. And I think the thing though is, I do think the actress that played Francesca and the actor that played John have a bit too much chemistry for me to believe that those characters don't have chemistry with each other, which you're supposed to believe. So that's the main thing I'm struggling with. But other than that, I don't really care too much. Like, I'm like, sure, do whatever you want to do. I understand why some people are a bit hesitant on the, like, why is the one dark-skinned black woman a masculine character though? Well, I mean, she's not masculine, she's femme on the show, but she's a flip of a male character.
Yeah. No, I'm always suspicious of stuff like that. Sorry, because it's just so prevalent. Thanks for going deep with us. Like us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you're streaming this from.
Thanks for listening. We'll speak to you next time.